Before starting, just a few words. We are EIT Digital. I don't have time now to go into details what we are, but we are basically the largest partnership and connected ecosystems in Europe, perhaps in the world, entirely devoted to digital technologies, digital entrepreneurship, etc., digital education. Being so much about digital, and therefore digital transformation is one of our main objectives, we started thinking at, well, we provide support for education, lifelong learning. We help our partners develop their services and products from digital technologies. We help startups grow international. But what about work? Jobs and the future of jobs and works in the digital transformation, especially within the area of the industry. So in this presentation, I will say a few words about a study that we have conducted concerning the impact of the digital transformation and the manufacturing industry in Europe. This is one of our main area of investment. And well, we all know that everything is going to be dramatically changed. Well, digital transformation means that taking up automation, artificial, well, you already have learned and heard about this quite a lot. A few figures that you can find there. So the big data analytics in the manufacturing industries in particular will have a great impact, a strong impact on in European industries, and it is expected to contribute almost 2% to the European GDP in the future. At the same time, you have also, of course, the challenges that this raises. At the present, even if 75% of the existing industries, companies, SMEs, whatever, what you have, Mittelstand, see a great opportunity in digitization, only some 41% have yet to adopt digital tech, and the remainder, well, it might be questionable what type of digital technology have adopted. In many cases, it might just be a website. And over the next 15 years, European companies will have to invest almost 90 billion euro per year. So multiply this times 15, it's more than 1 billion. To catch up with global competitors. I do not know whether you can see the global competition down in the slides, but it is what you expect. We have two big blocks. One is the Chinese and Asian one, the other is the US one. Both are dominated by big platforms, and I will focus quite a lot on platform and platformization. And in Europe, we have only one, and I can tell you at present it's SAP, basically. Okay, which is not, it's been born many years ago. What is important in that picture is the issue of platformization, because many of those platforms from the big incumbents, both from Asia and from the US, are now moving to industry. And it would be important that Europe take the opportunity this time not to go to the same end as with the personal data and the consumer data, and not replicate what has happened in the last 10 years, not giving away all the manufacturing industry data, ownership, etc., as it was done with personal ones. Okay. But this will have a strong impact on policies because, as you know, there's this strong concern about the impact on jobs, about the impact on wages, about the impact in the very end of the social contract. And if we want to maintain the type of balance that we have been having so far, and possibly improve in the future in Europe, this requires policy actions. As we know, digital innovation is, statistically at least, associated with with increasing inequality. You see that the reasons, because there are rents that can be extracted from the market, mostly from platforms and from incumbents. And not only them, of course, the CEOs, the management of those companies, but even those receiving a salary from the big and the incumbent firms, with respect to those who are trying to catch up. Many of the new jobs that are being created are not standard jobs, gig economy, etc. And this brings about wage differentials, those who are earning more and those who are earning less. And you have a two-tier labor market. And this also has a strong impact, as we will see, maybe you cannot see, but this is the last row, on taxation, therefore the pool of money that the countries can leverage in order to raise taxes for, in order then to be able to pay services, okay? To pay for services. So the two-tier labor market will have a strong impact on the capability of countries to maintain social welfare and possibly improving it. Concerning the future of work and the market platformization, you can have two opposing views. Of course, this all will be very extreme, because extremes are easier to communicate, and they can spark discussion. Of course, there are many nuances in between, but I will focus on two extremes. One extreme is no problem, the future not so dramatic. Well, there will be only full automation in industries if the rental rate for capital will be so always lower than the wages. But this is doesn't need to be the case. Or the other extreme is concerning the future of work. Again, something which is a bit more scary, the so-called singularity hypothesis, especially AI in particular, is it approaching to the so-called singularity points where machines will somehow take over in terms of intelligence and capabilities with respect to humans, so that humans will be largely displaced at large, and of course also in the industries. Concerning platforms, one very highly positive aspect of platforms, otherwise people wouldn't have adopted them, is that they lower transaction costs. They have a community role because they create a community of innovation, or can create a community of innovation around them, and we have many examples all around. They have an infrastructural role because they provide functionalities to their users. And then they have a very important data role, which is not very well managed at present, because you all know that by using platforms, you confer your data, and those data are the real, in many cases, in some cases, the unique real asset of platforms owners. Going on the other side, we have the negative, the downside of this, which is that, well, supply side, the platform have zero marginal costs. So once you have established them, it is, well. And then you have network effects and concentration of power. Those are problems. Smart policy scenarios. Ingredients that we have been considering for the labor market is going through a flexi-security 4.0, which is basically a pool of social investment in human capital with extended social protection, training, active labor market policies, and supporting transition to open-ended contracts in a flexible way. The advantages would be that you have tax neutrality with respect to the balance between machines and humans in manufacturing industry. That, in other words, such an approach would not unbalance the choices of the owners or the capitalists towards the machines, not even towards the labor. Robot tax, it is one of the possible ingredients. You reduce tax incentives in basically in automation directly. But of course, there's those who point out that this can stifle innovation are right. We think that a digital intermediary tax would be different. A digital intermediary tax is something which puts a levies on online advertising and transactional platforms. Okay. This doesn't have the same distorting effect of the robot tax because it doesn't go for the innovation, but simply for the transaction. Okay, so it doesn't distort the market and it doesn't stifle innovation. We have provided a number of scenarios, and here I will only focus on the so-called ultra-liberal and social. The ultra-liberal is what you imagine. So no corporate taxes cut, additional machine-related R&D investments, no social spending investment, no additional. Of course, you will have a jump in productivity and growth, increasing growth, industrial employment, however, decreasing because labor will be displaced by machines, by construction in a way. The ultra-social scenario, again, it's an extremistic type of positioning, but it's useful for a discussion, is something building on the ingredients that I've just mentioned, so the digital intermediary taxes, the flexi-security, etc. We provide some radar type of assessment of the impact of these various scenarios on various dimensions, political risk, instability risk, etc. Don't have the time to go through those, but just let me finish that by saying that the digitalization is something which is happening, so it's not even worth discussing whether one should jump on it or not. It is a matter of fact. There are growth opportunities, and of course there are also opportunities for social transformation. I would see them as opportunities. Policymakers must create the right type of environment. Last thing that it's partially hidden is that any type of policy will be very difficult to adopt in a single country. We need to find the right balance at the European level, and this will require a lot of cohesion among European countries in order to have these policies at the bloc level. And for more information, please download the report and have fun reading it.